Besties, did I finish Winging It With You? Absolutely not. I'm about halfway through this book, maybe even more than halfway through this book, to be honest with you. I'm on page 208 of 300. And what did we decide on yesterday? 61? Yes, 361. And so, like, it's fine. I do think that it is a stronger outing than You and I rewritten. I was really looking at that review that I posted for that book when I was reading this. And one, I said I was never reading another Chip Pond's book, which is clearly a lie. But two, I said that we had like fast forwarded through all of the things in that book and was sort of rewriting the book to make me believe things about these characters that like I really don't truly believe was happening in that. And already this is a much better time. Now I do think that we are, how do I do this? Because I think that there is a fake dating element at play here that is part of the problem, and there is like a bad storytelling maybe portion of this as well, where here we have Theo and Asher who are pretending to be together for the reality TV cameras, but we see them clearly falling for each other and wanting to push things to the side rather quickly, to be honest with you. And while we are in this through the challenges of this Amazing Race-esque show, seeing them be drawn closer to one another, learning pieces of information about one another, it still doesn't quite all fit together in a way that I think is a satisfying relationship for me. Now, again, we're also doing something that I really don't like to do here. I am taking multiple days to read a book, and then when I was reading the love lyric, I told you guys I was a surefire way to tell you that I was not liking it. And I do think that maybe structurally, this is a better book. I just think that the actual meat of the story of these two people getting together is simply not necessarily a narrative that I care about. I also really thought that this reality TV competition aspect of the show is going to be a little bit more interesting, and slash or our characters would be better at it. And it honestly feels like they're bad at the competition. And so when you're bad at the competition but you're not being eliminated, which is clearly just for narrative purposes, I'm just kind of like, okay. This also doesn't really seem like something that is, I think it's supposed to feel like it's being edited and posted and everything is airing right as it's happening, which would be the only way for this to sort of make sense in terms of Theo needing his leave and like the fact that he wasn't just, I don't really know what the company was expecting him to do in terms of like documenting his break. Like you would think that you would just like stayed at home and did nothing. That would be enough of like a work-life balance for the parameters. But I guess again, because this was like his third straight quarter of him like waiting to the 11th hour to take his mandated non-flying hours, maybe they would want to see him doing a little bit something more than just staying at home and like showing that he did have interest in hobbies. I don't really know if this does that, but it does show that he was doing something. Although he is still on planes like all the time. I don't really know. But yeah, it's not that this is a bad book necessarily. It's just that like the actual narrative that we are following is not one that I'm super invested in. Where I left off, they just finished a competition where they had to like climb some tower and climb down the other. I don't fully understand it. I don't fully understand any of the competition aspects of this program. I've never watched The Amazing Race, but it was kind of my understanding that like there were puzzles and they'd like solve a puzzle to figure out where in the world they're supposed to go to next. And maybe that is not what that show is like at all whatsoever. But I do think that's a much more interesting show than what I'm reading about. Like what I'm reading about is like part Fear Factor, part we're just filming you doing some crazy challenge, part like, oh, it's elimination. I don't know, like maybe if you're like a real true, like if you're true to them reality competition streets, you might get a better something out of this than me. Just like all those romance books that take place on a what's I looking for, like on a reality dating competition. Maybe if you're true to the reality dating competition streets, then this will work for you. I just don't think that necessarily is working the way that I wanted it to work. But Theo and Asher are interesting enough characters. I'm enjoying being in their heads enough. Like, I think that they do make a sort of cute couple, like in the grand scheme of, romance, where you're just meeting somebody and like this is gonna be your forever person by the time we get to the end of it. It's fine. I will say though, there was a point in this book where we learned that Asher's ex-boyfriend now is now dating their former couples counselor. That seemed like a teensy bit too far. That seemed like a development, a detail that we did not need, that we could have gone back to the drawing board on that one. Also, we got this detail that, I mean, I guess we kind of already knew this. Like, we knew that Asher had like bought a home with his ex-boyfriend that dumped him before they went and like on this little reality TV show, and like their finances were mingled in some way. And at times, I say at times, like literally one time it's brought up that they had these commingled finances that were going to be a bitch for him to like sift through when they got to the end of this competition. But part of the package, actually not even part of the package, the entire point of the package of the winning the competition is you get, well, this season they get $1 million. And obviously Asher has been like, hey, Theo, because you helped me out, I'll give you half and I'll take half, which I think is more than generous. But again, I guess when you're thinking about the fact that this is a romance, it doesn't really matter if they split it 25-75. At the end of the day, it'd probably all be in one account anyway. But it's like, not only did this man leave you, you then went on to do the competition, and now you're telling me your finances are commingled. So like, this little gaze and stem you want to do, are you even going to be able to do it? Or is your ex-boyfriend going to take half of $500,000 and leave you high and dry, running off happy with the couples counselor? Like, there are just questions that I have now that I don't really know if I had those same questions going into it, or I would have had those questions if some of the events of the narrative were developed differently, or just, not been told to me, quite frankly. So overall, we're still having a good time with this. Am I going to finish this book tomorrow, Christmas Eve? That's the question, isn't it? I definitely have to finish it. If not tomorrow, then by Christmas. And Christmas is seeming like the stronger of the arguments here, because tomorrow on Christmas Eve, I'm seeing two movies. Seeing the first movie at noon, and then my next movie I think is at 3:30. Although I might cancel that 3:30 showing depending on how good Marty Supreme is. Because if it's bad, I'm probably going to come home, and even if it's good, I'll probably want to come home. And like, so seeing back to back, I don't know. But right now, like, that's kind of the plan. And so I'd have to read this either before or after that movie, and I don't know if that's going to happen. And tomorrow's Christmas Eve, and so we have to do the annual reading of A Court of Frost and Starlight. But I do hope that you guys are enjoying your Christmas holiday. We got 2 more videos coming from me. My final thoughts on this. I don't need to give you guys thoughts on Frost and Starlight. I'm going to reread it. It's like I'm going to find new information in that. I've read it every time I've done a vlogmas, so everyone by this point should know at least what that particular story is. I'm really just doing it for the little crumbs I'm going to get of Nesta, because I could really give two fucks about Feyre and no fucks about Rhysand. But, Nesta, my girl, my home girl. I should really reread Silver Flames. I don't know if I'm emotionally ready to reread Silver Flames, because I did really enjoy that book, and I'm not really sure if I'm ready to go there. It's been a hot minute since I reread Sarah. Obviously it's been a year since I read Frost and Starlight. And then before that, I guess it would have been that last book in the Crescent City world. Can we talk about how the last book in that world, I want to say I gave that book 5 stars, Flame and Shadow. I think I gave Flame and Shadow 5 stars. I gave that first book 1-2 stars, talking about the book was bad. Can we talk about the journey I went on from that book? From City, Crescent City, that first book, House of Earth and Blood, my bad. House of Earth and Blood, I was like struggling reading that book on live stream to reading the entirety of her universe. Wow. It's a crazy time. I went from seeing Sarah being canceled to uncanceled to canceled again in the time that it took me to read that series. Crazy things. Crazy things. And I think, like I said, yeah, now she's canceled again. So hate that for Miss Sarah, but love it for me because I already bought the book. I'm not getting rid of the book. I'm reading Frost and Starlight. So I'll see you guys again tomorrow, maybe with final thoughts on this. Maybe. If not final thoughts, then at least additional thoughts. That seems doable. If I hadn't listened to podcasts this morning, trying to get caught up with my podcasting, I probably could have read a lot more of this today, and then I would have been able to finish it. Or if I hadn't spent the last hour just doing nothing, I spent the last hour mentally preparing myself to do an update about the 100 or so pages that I did manage to read today. That if I had just been reading during that time instead of trying to mentally fortify myself, I would have a lot less to read tomorrow. But I can only do what I got to do. What can I say? I've been needing to relax. So I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna go and continue to relax, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. So stay safe, stay hydrated. Hopefully you enjoy your Christmas Eve festivities if those are things that you are partaking in. And I will see you at the end of the day to discuss and go over some stuff. So until then, and until next time, bye besties.